from the savannah to the Midland and the Atlantic, Ambazonia has risen to fall no more. Ambazonia rise.
Dear Ambazonians on the home front and diaspora.
Dear Ambazonia freedom fighters in the home front and in the diaspora.
The Ethics Commission of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is coming out to alert you that it is becoming more and more evident that the former British Southern Cameroons, aka Ambazonians, will soon emerge as the newest nation in the world.
We are calling on all of us to start preparing to receive Ambazonia as parents prepare to receive their firstborn child. Malcolm X said, tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today. We are already very educated, talented, and very rich in natural resources. Do all this guarantee a safe and prosperous Ambazonia? The answer is an emphatic no. Theodore Roosevelt said, to educate a person in the mind but not in morals is to educate a menace in society.
Ambazonians, it is time to start planning to restore our cultural and social values that characterize us as a people of good repute. Before our Republic to Cameroon invasion, we were respectful of each other, of the law, and of our culture. We earned our living through honest hard work, making clean money for ourselves.
Our values helped us to maximize the benefits of our natural resources as well as our human resources. Southern Cameroons were serene and clean, simply beautiful in spirit and in the physical. We all long for such a place to call home, and we can make it happen by God's grace.
Our local government areas and counties, are you preparing? Do you have an ethics commission in your local government areas, counties to serve as a moral compass for you? Do you have a copy of the Ambazonia Ethics Code and the Constitution?
All arms of government, do you have an ethics agency? Departments of DSS, HSS, Communications and IT, Education, DHACM, DFA and DEINR. Do you have ethics agency to serve as a moral compass for your departments?
Ambazonians, you need to know your rights by reading the Ethics Code and the Constitution.
Shame unethical behavior and reward good behavior in your communities. Hold leaders accountable. Be the watchdog of your communities and governments. See something, say something.
The church, you are the main research center of moral principles with the responsibility of moralizing the society. How effective are you outside the church building?
Maya Angelou said, when you know better, then you do better. Ambazonians, watch Ethics for an emerging Ambazonia every Friday at 10 p.m. Amba time.
Exclusively on ABC Amba TV. Stay tuned.
The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
Good evening and welcome to Undaunted, bringing into the news untold stories. I am Star Smart. Let's begin. Russia makes progress in the east as Ukraine pleads for weapons. Accept it or not, the war in Ukraine and the controversy of Russian oil prices is crumbling the world's economy. There is inflation in almost every continent and country. Businesses are getting out of the market. Unemployment is skyrocketing. The world's economy is on the brink of a recession. Who has the magic wand? Meanwhile, in Ambazonia, the forces of occupation escalate the carnage. Intelligence has it that the inmates in Boya prison are currently in danger. We are told some have been killed. The military option to quell the Anglophone cessation is a failure. Anglophones will never come back into a unitary state, says the no-nonsense Undaunted Amba. Let my people go. Let Ambazonia go. Let them go. That was the chorus we got from Aristide Mono on Sunday during a heated debate on Equinox Television. On a Monday, that's yesterday, Undaunted Amba made the verse of the song. In tonight's Undaunted, continue singing it as it literally makes gains for Ambazonia. But before that, let's get the prime headlines.
Prime headlines. Russia has repeatedly used cluster munitions, a type of weapon that drops explosive indiscriminately on a wide area in the northeastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, according to a new report by Amnesty International. Russia makes progress in the east as Ukraine pleads for weapons. The military option to quell the Anglophone cessation is a failure. Anglophones will never come back into a unitary state, says the no-nonsense Undaunted Amba. Commander Willie declares Ambazonia a no-go zone starting July 1st. Kagame deports 18 Chinese investors for mistreating Rwandan employees. Prince Charles slams UK plan to send refugees to Rwanda. Spain beat Czech Republic to go top of group.
Are we heading for a global recession? And if so, how concerned should we be? The IMF forecasts global growth in 2022 at 4.4%, but these projections are being reversed downwards due to conflict and the fallout from sanctions. The Global Economic Outlook session at Davos 2022 brought together leaders to discuss the key issues facing the global economy, including the prospect of recession. And that's where we begin the full briefings of Undaunted tonight. I am Oni Opala, and as always, I will be processing the news this evening with my co-anchor, Star Smart. How are you doing today, Star?
I'm very well, thank you. I must hasten to say the markets are bearish. Economies of continents and countries are at the brink of a recession. The West may just be losing all creativity to provide a solution. As Russia expands its rage to the east, Ukraine begs for weapons. Fellow Ambazonians, once again, good evening and welcome. The Global Economic Outlook panel discussion on Monday, 23rd May, opened with the question on everyone's lips, are we heading for a global recession? And if so, how concerned should we be? Horizon has darkened with the prospect of another global recession. Kristalina Georgieva, managing director of the International Monetary Fund, opened with a cautious note, explaining that since the IMF's latest forecast, the horizon has darkened. She was particularly concerned about food price shocks and how anxiety around the world over accessing affordable food was hitting the roof. Georgieva went on to point out that stalling actions on the climate crisis and the slump in digital money assets was further darkening the outlook. Democracy works. Rubenstein ended the session on a positive note, saying he doesn't believe the current economic crisis will be anything like previous shocks over the last 25 years, the dot-com bubble, the financial crisis, or the pandemic, again reiterating, quote, it will be a mild banana if there's a banana. A focus on long-term resilience and strong government policies to tackle climate change and healthcare to prepare for future pandemics were the key messages from Fraser. Furthermore, the world's response to Ukraine and the pandemic have solidified Valeroy de Gahu's strong conviction that democracy works. Ending on a salutary note, Georgieva reminded us that the world has dealt with unthinkable crises after unthinkable crises, and yet we remain resilient. The next chapter must focus on building resilient people backed up by education, health, and social protection. Does democracy really work during such critical times?
We are yet to confirm that. Third GDP tracker shows the world's economy could be on the brink of a recession. The U.S. trade deficit with its global partners fell to $87.1 billion in April. Still a large number by historical standards, but down more than 20%, $20 billion from March's record. On net trade is expected to subtract 0.13 percent points from GDP in the second quarter, from a previous estimate of 0.25 percent points, according to the Atlanta Fed. Talk of recession has accelerated this year amid surging inflation that has put a damper on corporate profit outlook. Many on Wall Street are still expecting the combination of resilience in consumer spending and job growth to keep the U.S. out of recession. One major source of inflation fears is the Federal Reserve, which is on a rate hiking cycle in an effort to quell runaway inflation. Chair Jerome Powell said last month he sees, and I quote, a good chance to have a soft or softish landing, even with policy tightening. It is not going to be easy, and it may well depend, of course, on events that are not under our control, but our job is to use our tool to try to achieve that outcome, and that's what we are going to do, Powell said. Earlier on Tuesday, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen told a Senate panel that bringing inflation down should be our #1 priority, and noted that attempts to bring down the cost of living are coming from a position of strength in the economy.
As the world suffers inflation and possible economic brink, power-mongering doesn't seem to cease. The West versus Russia. If you think you have seen anything, there's more to come. Russia makes progress in the East as Ukraine pleads for weapons, sanctions or no sanctions, fuel price cut or not. Putin is adamant. As Russian forces position themselves to take more of Ukraine's eastern regions in the coming days, Ukrainian officials are intensifying requests for Western help while their forces see death tolls climb and weapons dwindle. Russian forces now control the center of Severodonetsk in the east and could claim Donetsk to the south within days. And then the entire Luhansk region of eastern Ukraine is in a few weeks, according to U.S. officials. All bridges leading to Severodonetsk has been destroyed, leaving many trapped and presaging a hard fight for Ukrainian forces.
Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, was straightforward on Monday about what he wanted: 1,000 drones, 2,000 armored vehicles, and other equipment. As key cities endure attack, he tweeted that Ukraine will be waiting to see what decision comes out of a Wednesday meeting in Brussels, where NATO ministers of defense will discuss the ongoing war. Russia initially stumbled in its invasion of Ukraine, but the daily bombardment of the southeastern region of Donbas shows that the Kremlin has pivoted its strategy to a steady devastation and could make the imbalance of weapons and troops between the two countries even wider.
Here's what's to know. U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin will host a Ukraine Defense Contact Group meeting at NATO's headquarters in Brussels on Wednesday. Russia has repeatedly used cluster munitions, a type of weapon that drops explosives indiscriminately on a wide area. In the northeastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, according to a new report by Amnesty International. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg met with Prime Minister Magdalena Andersson in Sweden on Monday, a day after talks with Finnish President Sauli Niinistö. The two Nordic nations, alarmed by Russia's invasion of Ukraine, have applied to join NATO.
Now let's find out what's happening in Africa. Burkina Faso's death toll from Tangier attack rises to 79. Uganda food crisis and hunger reef in Karamajong. Nigeria orders Facebook, Twitter, others to provide information on harmful accounts. Ghana suspends police officers over crackdown on protesting students. French troops quit northeastern Manika military base in Mali.
And the trending one in Africa right now, President of Rwanda Major General Paul Kagame has reportedly ordered for the immediate deportation of 18 Chinese nationals who are said to be investors who were allegedly mistreating their Rwanda employers. Gabalesin has details on this.
Kagame deports 18 Chinese investors for mistreating Rwandan employees. The president of Rwanda, Major General Paul Kagame, has reportedly ordered for the immediate deportation of 18 Chinese nationals who are said to be investors who were allegedly mistreating their Rwandan employees. Kagame, well known for his uncompromising stand on a number of socio-political issues, came down hard on the so-called investors as he booted them out of the country. The 18 investors were found guilty of mistreating Rwandan workers and grabbing land on which they operated their business, Kagame reportedly said as he gave the deportation order. Chinese investors exploited Rwandan people and also took advantage of them by making them work abnormal hours like slaves. Africa is for Africans. We can't be slaves in Africa. We don't tolerate the nonsense of discrimination here, Kagame added. China and Rwanda have strong bilateral ties which are inextricably linked to the shared benefits of trade, aid, and investments between the two countries. According to data released by the Rwandan Development Board, 24 more companies from China were registered in Rwanda in 2020, bringing in investments totaling $300 million. These investments are in the sectors of construction and real estate, mining, ICT, manufacturing, and hospitality. However, according to our sources, Kagame is a patriotic leader who refuses to allow such relations to cloud his judgment. Rwanda is for Africans and those who mean well for us. I am directing the 18 Chinese investors to leave Rwanda immediately and must never return back. Rwandan people must enjoy their rights in their country. Let this be a lesson to the remaining Chinese investors, Kagame warned. The alleged mistreatment of Rwandans by Chinese investors will probably take a downward turn thanks to this deportation order and the potential for more of the same. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
UK court says flights taking asylum seekers to Rwanda can go ahead. The UK Court of Appeal rules that the first flight to take asylum seekers to Rwanda can go ahead on Tuesday. Judges have thrown out last grabs attempt by campaigners to stop the United Kingdom sending its first flight of asylum seekers to Rwanda on Tuesday, a plan the United Nations refugee chief described as catastrophic.
For Rwanda to accept this deal really puts to question her integrity before human rights. Critics believe that this current refugee policy is a violation of basic human rights. Now the big one, Prince Charles slams UK plan to send refugees to Rwanda. British media says Charles called UK's Rwanda asylum scheme appalling and worries it will affect the Commonwealth Summit. Will this reaction from the Prince pique the consciences of evil and racist politicians?
I wonder. Prince Charles has privately described the British government's plan to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda as appalling. Two media reports said as the first flight seeking refugees to the East African country is due to leave next week. Charles, heir to the British throne, has been heard criticizing the policy. The Times and Daily Mail newspaper reported. He is reportedly concerned that the controversial asylum policy will overshadow a Commonwealth summit in Rwanda, where he is due to represent his mother, Queen Elizabeth, at the end of this month, the Times reported.
He said he was more than disappointed at the policy, a source told the Times. He said he thinks the government's whole approach is appalling. It was clear he was not impressed with the government's direction of travel. A spokesperson for Charles did not deny he had expressed personal opinions about the policy in private. Quote, We will not comment on supposed anonymous private conversations with the prince except to restate that he remains politically neutral. Matters of policy are decisions for government, the spokesperson said. The British government announced in April it had struck a deal to send potentially tens of thousands of asylum seekers to Rwanda in a bid to undermine people smuggling networks. Up to 130 asylum seekers have been notified they could be sent to Rwanda, and lawyers for almost 100 had submitted legal challenges asking to stay in the UK. At least 30 individuals are still set to be removed from the country next week.
The government overcame a legal challenge to the policy on Friday as a judge dismissed campaigners' attempt to win an injunction. It said the first flight could leave on Tuesday. The court also granted permission for human rights groups to appeal the decision, a move expected to take place on Monday. Under the UK's unwritten constitution, the royal family should remain politically neutral. Queen Elizabeth has steadfastly kept her opinions to herself during her 7-decade reign. Charles, in contrast, has expressed views about subjects close to his heart, such as nature conservation, architecture, and genetically modified crops.
Gabellison also had a look on this story and now reports.
Reporting from London, Al Jazeera's Nadim Baba said that the UK government could face further legal challenges to its plan. It could still be facing a wider judicial review into whether Rwanda is in fact a safe country to send vulnerable people, he explained. International human rights lawyer Geoffrey Robertson told Al Jazeera on Friday that the UK had an international legal obligation to determine whether the people facing deportation were genuine asylum seekers fleeing persecution. Sending asylum seekers to Rwanda was considered unethical and unchristian by many, Robertson said from London, adding that the legal challenge is far from over. It's a very controversial policy, and it's wrong that it should be decided in a day. It's going to need, and I suspect will receive, a good deal more consideration from the courts, he said. UN officials and refugee groups have criticized the plan as unworkable and inhumane, saying those facing being sent to Rwanda include people fleeing Syria and Afghanistan who arrived in the UK across the English Channel on small boats. Baba said that the first stage of the plan has involved the UK paying more than $150 million to the Rwandan government in hopes that the plan would deter people from crossing the English Channel from France in small boats. More than 28,000 migrants and asylum seekers entered the UK across the Channel last year, up from 8,500 in 2020. Dozens have died, including 27 people in November when a single boat capsized. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
Welcome back. Yesterday night's Undaunted ABC Amba News was so emotional and at the same time electrifying. Commander Willie, the county coordinator for Man U, was the man of the day. He stated categorically, unwaveringly, that starting July 1st, Amazonia is a no-go zone for 70-seater buses owned by Francophones.
You know what, there one could literally feel the passion emitting from Commander Willie's breath. But before we even get into that, there are some new leads to the Mamfe Hospital at San. According to Eba Sote Tar, editor-in-chief of Cameroon Concord News, the truth about the burning of the Mamfe Hospital might never be known, as no group has taken responsibility for the disaster, which has left many ill people desperate and residents of the division frustrated.
It baffles me how Ebai Sota Ta expects a group to say a word. Why should they? The La Republique du Cameroon be in the video on the day of the saga was more than enough to draw honest conclusions. He still calls counties in his report divisions. The one Cameroon mentality, and this is a man who indiscriminately operates with Sisiko Julius Ayuk Tabe. Ebai thinks that Mamfe is gradually losing everything, and it is obvious that the town's infrastructure is dwindling very fast and could face another disaster soon, as Amber fighters are now threatening to burn the central market and any government offices which may be open for business. Mamfe has no electricity, no water, and now no hospital.
Of course, that's true. Residents of the town are scared that a health disaster such as cholera outbreak could hit the town soon, and this could result in thousands of deaths. Even Méridien Sans Frontières is packed out of the town, and banks and financial institutions have also wrapped up operations, making it hard for retirees to earn their pension, while many people now move around with large sums of money for lack of a secured place to keep their earnings. What I don't seem to get is the fact that Amba insinuated that threats by Amba fighters to burn more public goods are making them guilty in the court of public opinion for the raising of the hospital, which has been serving some 70,000 people.
Like, seriously? Following the raising of the hospital, the Cameroon Concord News Group claims that they have deployed undercover reporters to Mamfe for the organization to shed more light on an incident which is splitting the country. The first findings clearly indicate the military, while the second investigations conducted by speaking to victims and some members of the public which saw how the operation unfolded clearly accused Amba fighters, as some Mamfe boys were identified by nurses, and some of these nurses have now left the town for fear of being killed by the fighters they identified. Our eyewitnesses say and see something different. The Cameroon Concord News Group is not passing any judgment, but is simply reporting what it has uncovered. It would appear Mimi Mefo isn't alone.
I'm beginning to think so too. According to sources our correspondent talked to, the Mamfe boys who had been identified were those who had earlier surrendered and are part of the government's DDR. They are being used by the military to track and kill Amba fighters. The boys are now being taken to various locations to enforce the military decisions on how to destroy Amba camps or health facilities that are treated Amba fighters who have been shot by the military. The military has 4 years been monitoring the Mamfe hospital, and it had even taken away some patients they suspected were ill because they had been living in the bushes for too long. Those who had gunshot wounds were immediately arrested and later killed and buried by the military in unmarked graves.
When you surrender and join the enemy by carrying out dirty games, it is just but right to conclude that you are an integral part of the enemy, and therefore the enemy did the dirty job. Threats by Amba fighters to burn more public goods are making them guilty in the court of public opinion for the raising of the hospital, which has been serving some 70,000 people. Ebbai's report further that the first findings clearly indicate the military, while the second investigations conducted by speaking to victims and some members of the public which saw how the operation unfolded clearly accused Amba fighters. Some Mamfe boys were identified by nurses, and some of those nurses have now left the town because they're scared by the Amba fighters they identified.
In spite of the media calculated mix-up, Mayu County is planning to respond bigly. The county coordinator has this to say. Watch.
I said my tears do not fall down carelessly. I've cried. You people will not cry. You people will bleed. If you stay Mamfe, just know that either if you're military, you better pack or you're going to bleed. I'm not going to warn. It's not a threat. You might ask me, why? What do I do with the lamb? My father gave me this. I will give it to every Mamfe fighter to hold a lamb. When I go fight all the Republic Army, when I go fight all colonial administrators, and by La Republic, you burn our hospital, but you people are going to pay fairly. And this is how you people are going to pay. Effective July 1st, I will say on behalf of the interim government. No bus, any bus above 13, that's above 12 capacity load will be burned, will not be able to enter inside Ambazonia again. I say from the 1st of July 1st, 2022, May, a young Willie Nangaram, I'm saying it. I say no bus. And I'll explain, why. Number one, those buses will leave Amumezam or whatever they call them, those 70-seater seat. They will leave, they come to Mamfe Park. They have to load their car or the truck on on Monday. Our parents will pay 10,000. They will take those 10,000 and the whole. They start to load our parents in those buses on Monday. And the bus will not get full. On Tuesday, our parents will not go. They will stay there. They cannot give their money back. Or Wednesday, you go to syndicate to get your money. They will talk to you in French. Our parents will not get their money back. Sometimes the bus will be full till Thursday or Wednesday. Then our parents will travel to Kumba or to where they want to go. Before they go, their mission and purpose is already disrupted. Number two, those 70-seater buses in Manfe, it costs 10,000, for example, from Manfe to Kumba. When they come, they carry 70 people. They've taken 700,000 CFA francs from Manu people, of which that bus does not belong to us. The driver of that bus and the agency belongs to La Republique people. They will carry our people and take it to their land. And as such, our bus drivers will remain dry. If they could have divided those 70 people alongside those 12-seater buses, that's about 5 or 6-seater buses, that could have put money in our people's pocket. Again, that's 12 times 10, that's 120,000 CFA francs. That will be able to feed our drivers. Those who have clandos can carry 6 people at a time. From Manfe to Kumba, within 1 hour they are full, and that way they pass service. So those buses that are coming to Ambazonia, we authorize all the restrictional forces to sharpen their teeth. This bus thing that I'm saying is not a joke. If you have ear, you hear. All the private parks in Ambazonia will be closed from July 1st, 2022. The reason is this: all the general parks can operate. Manfe Park will operate, Kumba Park will operate. We do not want no privately owned park. Those parks are owned by Francophones. Amumeza, Francophone. Amumba Express, Francophone. They are owned by them. Head of syndicates is them. What they do is this: when passengers come, they first load their passenger first. They carry them, send them to wherever they're supposed to go. They're extorting money from us. If you load a bus or 70-seater, you carry it and go. You've taken 70 people away from Manfe to Kumba. That's 700,000 CFA francs. Plus motorboy, plus extra. You carry them and bring, that's 210 persons. They sit in the studio. They say, oh, they are all Amazonians are in the field, of which they are all Francophones. They came through the bus. And La Republique is using those buses to bring the military in. So anybody who's going to enter a bus is going to do so at their own way. So we're going to focus on those buses. Anybody that have a bus that is 13-seater upward, please evacuate from now.
And this is a special announcement. By 9 p.m. Amber time today, the Secretary of State for Communications and IT, Secretary Martin Mungwa, PhD, FASCE, on his usual State of Liberation Movement talk, will give to us the interim government's position on the arson and recent carnage at the home front. Ensure you sit back and watch.
As we prepare for that, we cannot keep quiet on this. Diodone Assomba on it again. He cries out the military option to quell the Anglophone cessation is a failure. Anglophones will never come back into a unitary state. Diodone Assomba, a very sound-minded francophone of Bulu Beti extraction, has warned La République du Cameroon time and again that they will never win the stupid war they declared on Ambazonia. He says, without chewing his words, that these Ambazonians you see today, sooner or later, you will see them no more. He quotes examples of Eritrea, South Sudan, etc. and says Ambazonians are in a legitimate fight, which to them is an ideology, and that no army in the world has won such a war.
Diodone Zumba states categorically that former President Amadou Ahidjo first blundered by abolishing the federal system that brought the two people together, and President Biya didn't do better, and even did worse, by declaring war which his army can never win. He admonishes that the Ambazonians first came out with peace plans, and when they were brutalized, they started with stones, rubber guns, spears, and today, the Ambazonians are using sophisticated weapons, including explosive devices and missiles. Diodone Zumba makes it abundantly clear to Yaoundé and Paris that the military option to quell the Anglophone cession is a failure. Anglophones will never come back into a unitary state. Like every ideology he enjoined, the Ambazonian war can only end at a negotiating table with belligerent parties making concessions and odds that using force and money will not work because even now, La République du Cameroon is down on its knees economically.
In very specific terms, shouts out, blood, 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 the unitary state wants blood. The MINDEF has not finished apologizing for the unfortunate blunder of the military which cost the lives of 9 citizens that the rebels reacted by massacring 9 gendarmes in a locality in the west, obviously located outside Nosso. End of quote. For those who bragged about the Westphalian state, these events are astonishing, whereas for me, it's in the normal order of things.
That's a good one right there. As I said at the outset, there is no human means by which the government can keep Anglophones in the board of a unitary state. Consequently, the only solution was to return to a revamped and updated federal state, says Dieudonné Zumba. He went further to explain. The interest of a federal model was threefold. 1. We emptied of their substance the arguments of the secessionists who are based on the historical fact that independent Cameroon was built on the basis of 2 states and that one state swallowed the other, which is true beyond the legal quabbles inspired by the bad faith of Francophones. 2. The recruitment base of the secession was dried up, making it unattractive because the majority of Anglophones were Federalists. And 3. The means of action of the state were reinforced by opposing the secessionists, which local police recruited from the same population and controlling the geographical and human environment. This made it possible to count on the support of the population to avoid blunders and to better target their interventions.
Expressed his frustration further, he continued to say, unfortunately, a group of academics claiming to be strategists have come to sink the government into the molasses of a war of occupation of southern Cameroon by the Republic of Cameroon. In other words, a colonial war impossible to win. What we see today is the logical consequences of this totally stupid choice. And now, what do? What do these pseudo-strategies advise the government? Continue a war impossible to win? Cameroon is on its knees, exhausted with an economy in tatters and under IMF control. Moreover, this one has just summoned it to lower its budget in order to repay the external debt, which is approaching 8 billion and in foreign currency. Is that how we're going to continue this crazy, senseless war? Are Cameroonians waiting for their salaries to be cut by talking to them about the war effort? These are very pertinent questions. Dieudonné concludes beautifully. He continues to say, when I take a technical position, I never change it. The unitary state died with the Anglophones and they will never return to this form of state. The only hope for maintaining Anglophones in Cameroon is the return to the federal state. The blood being shed at the Nosso is completely useless and will lead to absolutely nothing. The unitary state has become a demonic monster that devours its children. That's the end of what he said. But you know what, Onyi? I want us to look at the twist of who really Dieudonné Assomba really is.
Yes, of course. As we examine public opinion, someone wrote this to Kemi Ashu in reaction to Assomba's exciting words. And I read, Kemita Ashu patriotic salutes. Assomba is a demon. He advised La République du Cameroon to recruit civilians as vigilante groups, arm them and fight Amba boys. That strategy was used in Unwa and in Esu. Forget about the rubbish he's spewing out there. We all know what the Fulanese are doing. He speaks in public and people are cheering him, but he advises his brothers behind doors. They tell him to talk about federalism, which they said was a taboo, to get our reaction.
This is serious. This observer concluded thus, quote, they know that we have solidarity amongst us. In the days to come, they will use fighters that they are talking with to stage actions and scam draft money like Anu did. Everywhere now are footage of actions. Give them money and they disappear till the next echoes of draft. The scam this time will come from a fighter, not from an infiltrated member of the government. That's the end of what the person said. This leads us to an overview of the carnage at the home front in recent days. But that will be right after this break. The media greatly influences society. They inform people about what is happening. It permeates people's lives by creating their own criteria and opinions. In this way, the media moves the masses, creating different social movements.
For over 60 years, the people of Ambazonia were deprived of such privileges. The privilege to enhance their own criteria and opinion. They have suffered cultural genocide for 6 long decades, but not in this age and not with Undaunted ABC Amba News on board.
You must understand that wars are fought and won in the media. The speed of the revolution on Ambazonia's quest for freedom cannot be explained without highlighting the diligent use of the media.
Franco-Cameroon colonizers, among other strategic moves, weaponized the media against Ambazonia for so long, and they continue to do so even today. The question would be, how much do the oppressed people of Ambazonia need to counter the media rage?
Indeed, how much more is required to stop the genocide? The carnage in Ambazonia didn't start today. In 1961, 1972, 1984, 1992, Ambazonians were slaughtered in huge numbers and help was not forthcoming. Why? Because the oppressor was the piper in the media.
The good news is, we have what it takes to dictate the pace.
Right now, ABC Amba TV is taking advantage of the wonders of multimedia aggressively
to inform the misinformed and disinformed with Undaunted and other revolutionary programs bringing it to the news untold stories.
Most importantly, to win the media war by taking ABC Amba TV into every multimedia platform.
In a word, where the importance of storytelling can never be overemphasized, Ambazonians has to tell her own story, not the other way round.
And like we say it always, Ambazonia must narrate her story accurately. We can do this together, you know, right? You are just a click away. Visit our website at www.abcambatv.com, and the steps are quite simple.
With just a click on the website, you can become a club member with so many benefits.
You can also make a one-time donation, advertise and showcase your goods and services at the marketplace on the website.
That was easy, right? You're welcome on board.
And thank you for opting for the winning team.
An Ambazonian man has been shot dead. Several others were injured by forces of occupation. Colonial government forces have shot and killed an Ambazonian man and injured several others in a raid in Bamenda, the chief city in the Midland Zone, as tensions have been running high in the entire national territory of Ambazonia.
Our correspondent in Bamenda says the victim is yet to be identified and noted that he sustained critical wounds after being shot by troops loyal to the Franco-Cameroon regime in Yaoundé on Sunday. Undaunted newsroom gathered from eyewitnesses that the bullet penetrated the young man's abdomen, diaphragm and aorta, and all attempts to save his life did not succeed. The Ambazonian interim government, led by Dr. Sacco, described the killings going on in Ambazonia as French-Cameroon executions and called for a UN Security Council resolution on the situation.
The bitter clashes broke out when a large number of Francophone soldiers reportedly killed 9 innocent Ambazonian civilians in Misong, a village in the Midland Zone. According to a Roman Catholic cleric, 5 Ambazonians were also struck with live bullets on the Bamenda-Bali main road on Sunday. Here is an overview of the carnage. 2 corpses discovered in a stream below Foncha after heavy gunshots on Sunday, 12th June. The UN
has demanded investigation into the burning of the Manfred District Hospital.
A gendarme and a police officer were killed at Mile 4 when a bikeman was stopped to settle a checkpoint. According to a release by the governor of West Region, an attack on Ambazonian restoration forces may soon take place in Babanki checkpoints and other checkpoints in Banjul and other places in the West Region of La Republic du Cameroon. 13 houses have been burned by military in Bamunka early in the morning when people were still asleep. Atanga Nji plays a prank with denizens in Wotutu residence in Victoria and some Mamfe as a way to cover up its footprints.
Please remember that we will be having the SOS for Communications Dr. Mungwer right after this show. Right now, let's get the editorial just after the break.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is to draft. Draft and draft and draft. People of Ambazonia, draft.
In our editorial today, we explore the pen of an Ambazonian activist, poet and writer, Don Juan Obi, the Lord of the Realms. He captions the religion of freedom giants of virtue. Stay on the side of truth, Ambazonia, even if it's making you hungry for a while. Hold on to it even when deceit is the authority. Stay on the side of justice, Ambazonia, even if terror inflicts pain and hardship. Hold on to it even when you're tagged as criminal or immoral. Stay on the side of identity, Ambazonia, even if the law calls you by a different name. Hold on to it even when you don't get deserved recognition. Stay on the side of history, Ambazonia, even if dry bones and silence make up the story. Hold on to it even when it's only in gossips and whispers. Stay on the side of belief, Ambazonia, even if reality seems unchangeable. Hold on to belief even when reality is painted in falsehood or does not bear true colors. Stay on the side of hope, Ambazonia, even if the night of terror is longer. Hold on to hope even when today seems forever and tomorrow looks never. Stay on the side of reason, Ambazonia, even if emotions carry the day. Hold on to it even when logic has no mortal friend. Stay on the side of conviction, Ambazonia, even if it's imposing extra burden to your means. Hold on to it even when everything depends on you alone. Stay on the side of victory, Ambazonia, when, even if the choices of defeat, stay on the side of victory, Ambazonia, even if the choice of defeat is righteous. Hold on to it even when the last idea has fallen to the sword. Stay on the side of dream, Ambazonia, even if nightmares shine the light of daybreak. Hold on to it even when nothing seems to relate with the picture of tomorrow. Stay on the side of destiny, Ambazonia, even if experience warns of doom. Hold on to it even when darkness covers the path. Stay on the side of prosperity, Ambazonia, even if opportunity invites attention. Hold on to it even when apology is the only companion you have. That was where he ended, and that's where we end our editorial for today. If you want to enjoy more of such beautiful articles, kindly visit our website at www.abcambertv.com for more. Subscribe and become a club member. Today, I would like to exceptionally take you through our payment methods so that you can be a part of this winning strategy. It's simple. ABC Amber TV payment channels, Cash App, telephone number +1240 486 8768. Hashtag $Amber ABC. Zelle, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, telephone number +1240 486 8768. PayPal, payment at abcambertv.com. UK bank account, account holder, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, sort code 231470. Account number 229908885. IBAN GB25TRWI 23147022990885. Europe account holder, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, BICTRWI BEBIXXX, IBAN BE42967309341854. Australian bank account holder, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, BSB code 802985, account number 211040023. Canadian bank account holder, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, institution number 621, account number 2001102861148, transit number 16001. New Zealand account holder, Ambazonia Broadcasting Corporation, account number 04202101042037. Thank you for your donations. I am Star Smart and I'm reporting for Undaunted ABC Amba News.
And now sports. Spain saw off the Czech Republic at the La Rosaleda Stadium in Malaga to move into top spots in the Nations League Group A2. Valencia midfielder Carlos Soler slotted in from Marco Asensio's pass to open the scoring before substitute Pablo Sarabia doubled the host lead. The 30-year-old tapped from close range before Barcelona winger Ferran Torres flashed a ball across the goal.
Spain were dominant, enjoying 72% of possession, and Sarabia curled another narrowly wide from the edge of the box. The visitors didn't have chances of their own in the first half, but Vaclav Cerny and Jan Kucha both failed to convert. Victory for Luis Enrique side saw them leapfrog Portugal, who were beaten by Switzerland.
Gab Allison has more.
Latest world sports. UEFA Nations League. Spain beat Czech Republic to go top of group. Spain solved the Czech Republic at La Rosaleda Stadium in Malaga to move into top spot in Nations League Group A2. Valencia midfielder Carlos Soler slotted in from Marco Asensio's pass to open the scoring before substitute Pablo Sarabia doubled the host lead. The 30-year-old tapped from close range after Barcelona winger Ferran Torres flashed a ball across goal. Spain were dominant, enjoying 72% of possession, and Sarabia called another narrowly wide from the edge of the box. The visitors did have chances of their own in their first half, but Vaclav Cerny and Jan Kucha both failed to convert. Victory for Luis Enrique's side saw them leapfrog Portugal, who were beaten by Switzerland. Formula 1. Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Max Verstappen wins in Baku as Charles Leclerc retired. Max Verstappen won the Azerbaijan Grand Prix and took control of World Championship after an engine failure on Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. Leclerc's second engine-related retirement from the lead in 3 Grand Prix leaves him trailing Verstappen by 34 points, despite 6 pole positions in 8 races, and it continues the impression that Ferrari's season is falling apart after such a promising start, as Leclerc's teammate Carlos Sainz also failed to finish following a hydraulic failure. Verstappen led teammate Sergio Perez to a Red Bull 1-2 as George Russell took third for Mercedes, with teammate Lewis Hamilton fighting back to fourth. Leclerc immediately lost the advantage he had earned with a dazzling pole position lap as Perez dived for the inside into turn 1 after a good start. The Ferrari then came under pressure from Verstappen but was also to hold the Dutchman off until a virtual safety car period on lap 9 caused by Sainz parking up in runoff area. And Ferrari leaped on the opportunity to pit for fresh tires, which Red Bull did not, hoping that it would vault Leclerc into the lead, which a few laps later it did. As Leclerc dropped briefly down to third following his stop, Verstappen soon closed in on Perez and passed for the lead on lap 15 after the Mexican was told no fighting. Perez stopped the next time around and Verstappen 2 laps later. After the Red Bull driver stops, the race looked set to boil down to whether Leclerc in the lead could hold off the challenge of the Red Bulls, who would have a significant grip advantage. And that question would have been made all the more intriguing by a second virtual safety car when Kevin Magnussen's Haas suffered a failure in his Ferrari engine. But by the Dane pull-off, Leclerc was long out of the race, a cloud of smoke erupting behind his car towards the end of the lap 21. From that moment on, Red Bull were in total control. Verstappen comfortably had the measure of Perez and the two cars cruised to the flag. Gab Ellison reporting for Undaunted, ABC Amba News.
And with that sports report, we have come to the end of Undaunted tonight. But before we go, here is a recap of our major stories.
Russia has repeatedly used cluster munitions, a type of weapon that drops explosives indiscriminately on a wide area, in the northeastern Ukrainian city of Kharkiv, according to a new report by Amnesty International. Russia makes progress in the east as Ukraine pleads for weapons. The military's option to quell the Anglophone secession is a failure, as Anglophones will never come back into a unitary state, says the no-nonsense Giordane Assomba. Commander really declares Ambazonia a no-go zone starting July 1st, 2022.
Kagame deports 18 Chinese investors for mistreating Rwandan employees. Prince Charles slams UK plans to send refugees to Rwanda. And in sports, we told you that UEFA Nations League, Spain beats Czech Republic to go top of the group. And that was it for tonight's Undaunted, bringing into the news Untold Stories. On behalf of my co-anchor Stir Smart and the entire Undaunted crew, I wish to say thank you for tuning in. I am Onyi Okbala.
We'll leave you with ABC Amba TV images. Stay tuned and have a good night.